guys.
I know. TikTok will flog you. Finish you. You
don't want to pay for a wedding.
10K for a whole wedding. Wait, how much did you spend on your suit?
I'm speaking for
Hey, babes, I will buy you whatever bride dress you want.
Hey, listen, I can't lie. When that's already in brand, I said no budget. Anyway, it was cool. I said no budget.
I know.
It's cool.
I know their lifestyle is different anyway, man.
We don't have a budget. I'm not surprised.
Guys, bye.
Yeah, by all means.
Have you got like a lot of feedback from that?
Yeah, loads. Here's my phone.
So what was the nonsense people were saying about
sorry,
this
let me back.
about this 60k budget? They were like, it's ridiculous. It is a lot of money, but bro, if you got it, you got it.
We work.
I like.
Me too, I work, but I ain't got 60k to spend.
You'd be surprised.
I can't lie. I think I could probably pull out a 60k, but it won't be from me though.
Yeah, but let's see. Okay.
I might
let's-
have to check
Certified,
it.
it won't be.
I've got two amazing guys here. These guys were actually part of my husband's wedding, and I thought it would be really good to bring in the man them to talk about their experience, what they've been through, their thoughts as well. We're definitely going to address the elephant in the room about budgets, and yeah. So I just thought, guys, introduce yourself. Let us know who you are and why. Yeah, what your thoughts on the wedding industry?
Yes, I'm Tolu. I'm 29. I work in telecoms, and I think weddings are a good opportunity to celebrate with family and friends, but they can be a bit pricey.
You on it.
My name's Ola. I'm 29. I'm a software engineer, and my thoughts on the wedding industry right now is kind of like what Tolu said. It's a great time to celebrate with family and friends, but also a time to kind of realize who's really close to you and who you deem as close family and friends.
I think that's really, really cool. Cool. So I've got a few things I want to go through with you guys today. There's so much to talk about because I think we usually talk about what women go through, how they feel, how the bride feels, all of that. But I really wanted to know what it's like as a. I guess you guys' experience was a little bit different because it was our main wedding was a trad, so it's kind of unheard of really for that to be like your main.
That's
wedding.
starting to become the thing though now.
Yeah,
right?
I guess so.
Like the white wedding's kind of small, intimate, and then you got a big,
big
like
trad.
everyone pull up.
Yeah. All right, cool. So I think it might be just good to just jump straight into it, really, which is let's address the elephant in the room. So we recently did a podcast, myself and Leslie. We recently were on the vendors table. If you haven't been on that podcast, please do go check it out. It's by MC Midday. And we spoke about our wedding experience. Fortunately, unfortunately, I don't even know which one, but there was a little snippet that everyone caught onto where we mentioned that our budget was 60k. And the reaction...
That's not how you started. That's not how you started.
How did I start?
You started with when you were first planning, you didn't have a budget.
That's kind of mad to.
Do you think that's a mad thing to say?
It's a mad thing to say. I can't lie to you. And as your people, it's still a mad thing to say.
Do you think so?
100%.
Okay, and I do want you guys to keep it real. Do you think that's a mad thing to say because? But bear in mind, I didn't go into this saying I want to spend 60k. I came out on the end, looked back, and was like, oh shit, I've just spent 60k.
Yeah, no, I think men and women innately, I believe, are different. So I think even if you take your marriage, you find that one person kind of focuses on one thing, whereas someone else can focus on another. So one person can be the ideas, I would love to have this, I would love to do this. Someone else is like, okay, cool, how do we now reconcile that to a cost? Yeah. So I feel like, generally speaking, women tend to be the ideas. Yeah, they want to have the horse flying from heaven.
I know what's so crazy, and I didn't want to respond on TikTok, but that was me. I'm going to speak for myself, yeah? that was just me managing myself. If I actually had the money that I wanted to have, what I would have done. God.
I don't think there's a problem with that.
Why he does what he does.
Yeah, I don't think there's a problem with that. I think
Yeah.
if you want to have your horse flying from heaven, come down and then have the helicopter take you from the earth to wherever.
But you know what it is? It's as long as you can actually do it. Like, as long as you can actually maintain that, and after your wedding, you can therefore live your life.
I think that's a separate conversation.
Let's take that aspect out of it.
Yeah,
so
So then, how do you then say, this is what I want, this is what I've dreamed of, but my money is different? Because that's how life works in general, right?
But so that's the thing. A lot of people didn't actually hear the actual podcast, but we were very fortunate. We were planning our process in lockdown. They were not commuting. There's no events.
Even with not commuting, no events, saving money.
Yeah.
60K is still a lot of money for most people.
True. We had a long engagement as well.
It's still a lot of money. It doesn't.
The
time is almost irrelevant to some people.
Okay, but if I was to say it took us 2 years to save for our house deposit and we put down 60K for our house.
I know people who in 7 years they can't. In 7 years they can't save 50K.
Well, that's between them and God, child. I don't know what you want me to say.
But when you're looking at a house, I think that's different, right? You're looking at a house that's almost like an investment. That's a lifelong plan, right? When you're looking at a marriage, marriage is lifelong. But when you're talking about a wedding itself, I think now we're seeing it's just become a one-day thing. Like, it's a big party. Everyone's gonna be there. My wedding's gonna be the littest of the year. And that's what people want it to be.
Yeah.
If it means you have to spend X amount of money and you're able to do it, you'll do it.
Yeah, I think okay, so this is my view. I feel like my reasons behind it is that you only get to do it once.
Yeah.
You only get to do it once. With a house, by God's grace, I pray for all of us. We'll be able to buy multiple houses. How many times do you want to save for 100K, 60K? So I feel like we need to stop limiting ourselves as people to say, 60K is a lot of money. Like, by God's grace, I pray 1 million, 10 million touches my account, and you know what I mean? But anyway, at that point, I feel like that's my only opportunity. I'm young as well, by the way. At the time, I was young.
You're still young.
I'm still young, exactly. So at the time, if it looked like an irresponsible decision...
I think the issue I have with it personally is this, right?
Yeah, go on. The issue, sorry.
If I had... And the way I see it is this, right? If you're telling me 60K, I'm going to take it as 30 is yours, 30 is mine. I sit down and think, if I had 30K... and I look at my life and what I want to do, a wedding is so low on the list of priorities that you can't even, it won't even be a conversation.
Okay, so quick question. By God's grace, you're going to get married, all of that, yeah? How much do you think is a reasonable amount to spend on a wedding?
I think for me, it's difficult because I've never thought too much about my wedding per se. I have a birthday party every year, right? So let's say I've had 5 birthday parties, My birthday parties have never cost me more than 1K, if that. Let's say 2K max. So I almost see, to some extent, my wedding as an extension of my birthday party. So I can tell you 10K. Yeah. And that 10K, to me,
you think a wedding should cost you 10K?
If you were to ask me how much money right now would I want to put in my pocket and say, okay, well, I'm having a 1-day event, put down your money, 10K to me sounds reasonable. Boom, I'll give you 10K right now. Close my eyes.
Okay.
30K to me, I'd rather do my kitchen extension. I'd rather do a loft conversion. I'd rather invest in the business. Why would I want to spend 30K on a party?
Wedding. Okay, cool.
Let's call it. I'm going to call it a party.
Okay, that's cool.
Where I say I do.
And I think that's cool. But just to confirm, you do want to have the ceremony.
If I'm honest with you, as I sit here right now, if I could choose, I would just go to the registry, get married, me and my missus, immediate siblings, and then I'll have a party.
But no self-respecting woman, realistically, is going to do that. So you're going to have a ceremony.
So I've got no choice.
Thank you.
You're going to do it.
So you're going to do it.
100% you're doing the trad.
I've got no choice. But if you were to ask me what I want to do, and the reason why I'd want to take that approach is purely financial.
Okay, but that financial... So let me keep it 100. If I could spend £10 and have the wedding that I had, of course I'm going to spend £10. People are not... In your case, I think it's very easy to say that because you're pre-planning.
Yeah.
So pre-planning, of course, you're going to walk into it, it's like 10K max. Divide that between me and my wife.
No, but I'm willing to just say...
Do you think in this day and age, in this cost of living age, you're going to find even the worst venue? Sorry,
no, but that's my point.
The worst venue you find in London is not even going to be 10K.
But that's my point. That I wouldn't do that. I would just say, let's just go to registry. We wouldn't need a hall.
No one does that though.
Some people do.
If you actually think about
that's
it,
mad.
like
And you're Nigerian, that's
the longevity
impossible.
of it, the headache you're going to get, bro. It's long.
From
I don't
the bride's
think that.
family
I don't
to your
think
own
it
family.
compares to like not having a day.
I
You
feel
will get
like,
bullied
listen,
into-
I'll bow down to my wife saying, look, this is what I want. I'll find a way to do it.
Especially if you marry a Nigerian bride as well.
Especially if she's
They're
Nigerian.
gonna want you
My
to
guy.
dobale, and it's not. It's,
Listen, there's no way you're going to a registry and prostrating in front of her entire family, bro.
Magistrates.
20 of your guys there, you'll be on top of each other.
See the lifestyle people live.
Yeah.
In this day and age, I think it's indicative of why a lot of people struggle financially.
No, but let's not get into that because remember, this is light, fun, and it's banter. So we're not going to get into why people are struggling financially. Right? Well, you wanted to talk about that? We're not doing that.
But if you don't have it,
yeah,
and if you think you would struggle, I don't understand why you would put yourself in a
But
position.
I wasn't going to struggle though.
But that's for you. The average person is not in that position.
That's fine, but I just don't need. Anyway, it's not about me anyway. I don't want it to.
When people hear When people hear 60K, they're thinking, how long is it going to take?
But how much do you think a venue is though? I don't understand because people sit and I once upon a time was people, by the way.
Yeah.
So I would go on Instagram and it's like, I want this dress. Like if my dress doesn't have bedazzled diamonds from head to toe and it's not made by a certain designer, then I used to also look at other people's weddings like, why would she even wear that? Like, ugh, like how could she? Until I got in it. And I understood that, okay, she wore this because she only had this amount in her account. And on top of that, with weddings, what people don't realize is that like, so I'll give you an example. With makeup, on a normal day, if you want to just go to your friend's birthday, your mum's party and get your makeup done, £65. With weddings, everything is inflated.
Yeah, there's a premium.
So that premium, though, is very irrational. It's something that we have to address in the Black community. That's on a different podcast. If you haven't seen it, it's Hindsight Right. We'll talk about that there. But makeup for me was about £650. How can you go from £65?
I get it.
To £650.
I get it.
And that's just makeup.
But then are there any?
I want to open you guys' eyes because I think a lot of men are like, well, I would save my money, but there's no way me and my wife are going to do that. All right, you go and find the worst venue in London and tell me if you can get it for even 10K.
I've got a question. Is there anything a woman can cut, like, in terms of...
Do you know how much I cut?
They'll tell you
what type of things? Because I think for certain guys, we don't know.
Exactly.
Right? We don't know the things that you lot are cutting.
Cut the wedding.
I want to open... Huh?
Cut the track.
But I have views on that as well. I have views on the Black community and us running to do the white man's... So let me not make this a race thing, by the way, but I do think there's beauty in embracing your culture.
Your culture.
So whether you're British, Scottish, you know, they do the kilts and they come out with the... what's the
bagpipes.
I think there's beauty in embracing your culture no matter where you are from in the world. But I think we're still fixated on doing our cultural thing but still doing the white. And I'm guilty of it as well. I did both. But I was happy to embrace my culture.
That wasn't a white wedding, that was a Greek wedding.
You know? So yeah, so to go back to the topic, so you were very much saying 10K, I really want to pop people's bubbles. I want to pop all your lot's bubbles because I think people as well, it doesn't help because everyone, even myself, we all go into this thinking, oh, the UK average is 20K. No, that 20K is on average for British people that have 100 people at their wedding. Imagine people are spending 20K for 100 guests.
How many guests would you think about your trad?
Huh?
How many guests do you think?
I think I got a bargain.
Let me say this, right?
I got a bargain.
Let me say
the
this.
Negotiations me and Leslie did, mad.
Let me say this, right?
What we did, to even get to that cost, mad.
I can say,
yeah,
hands down, and I've been to many trads
yeah.
in my life, right? And let the world say, Tolu said it here, that
times 2, because I don't know what you're gonna say, but I know what you're gonna say about you.
Your
saying
trad
times 2
was the best trad I personally have ever been to.
Even me too.
I can't lie, there was a moment where you couldn't even walk.
Nah, that one there, I can say
it was serious,
without a shadow of a doubt, in my life, and I've been to many.
Okay, thank you.
And especially being a part of it as well, that was
I think that's amazing.
You can attest.
However,
you wouldn't spend that amount.
I personally,
I
couldn't. I can't sit down with my banker and say, "Yo, can you release these funds?" He'll say no.
It doesn't work like that.
And I want everyone to know that I am my own banker.
It doesn't work like that.
He will say no.
But it actually,
so how does it work?
It genuinely doesn't work like that. Obviously, first of all, weddings are such a beautiful thing.
Agreed.
Because, you're in love. So the whole thing starts off with you being in love, like it's clouds. I promise you, like when I got engaged, it was like fireworks. All I was seeing was fireworks for a good 6 months, just fireworks.
You were saying fireworks. I was seeing money just going bass.
Just fireworks everywhere, fireworks. But then when you start getting into the process and I started like contacting my dream vendors, which was the venue, the dress designer, my makeup artist as well. There were certain things I knew that when I get married,
this is what I want.
These are the vendors that I want. Videographer, all of that. When things started adding up, because before we even got to food, I can tell you alone, minimum we were looking at 14K for a venue, and that's like a okay-ish managing yourself venue. Yeah.
How many people was like 14K roughly?
It can be anything. So it can be anything from. So people don't understand that you can still spend 60K on 300 guests. You can still spend 60K on 100 guests as well.
Yeah.
It just depends on what you and the bride and groom value, and as well, family do play a part as well in certain things. Especially everyone does, but we have like 20 steps. So you have to do the introduction before you do the actual trad, and then if you want a white wedding, that's cute and all. But as far as like the culture's concerned, the trad is the most important part. Anyway, I say all that to say that by the time I spoke to a venue, by the time I looked at a dresses were going up to 12K. Do you have anything to say there? Sorry, some of them were starting at 12K. So
I mean, the way...
The ones that I wanted, that I said that, when I get married, this is what
they
I'm
started at 12K.
Starting at 12K.
I get that. The way I would see that personally is the budget we'd have. My missus' dress is not including the budget. That's money that she needs to go and find.
Exactly.
12K is
that she needs to find.
She needs to find. Yeah, it's not in the budget. Your dress is not in the budget.
So does the wife? I don't know this, but does the wife pay for the dress?
Yeah,
or does the husband pay for the dress?
I think it depends on you guys as a couple.
She'll pay for a dress.
No, it depends on the couple.
I think that's I don't know, man.
You can marry a Jeff Bezos. Of course, I'm using all of my husband's funds to support
my wedding. I think that's significantly different.
But and so we talk for the average person.
The average person, I believe the woman pays for her dress.
The
woman or her family.
I don't know, but I feel like it might be a 50. I think it depends on.
It depends on the family, because some family are very traditional. If we're going by actual wedding traditions, it's actually the groom's family that should pay for the bride.
I didn't know that.
There's a lot of things you'll discover in your process that then lead to the decision making.
One thing I can tell you is this, right? If my family's paying for my missus' dress, there's no woman alive on earth that can look at my mom and dad in the eye and tell her that the minimum for my dress is 12K.
Oh,
yeah. Let's go.
My mom was say, I had a dream.
There's one auntie in my church. She does.
She's not the one for you. 12K. No. She's not the one.
No, but even if you're managing yourself, and I can talk freely now because I've done my process and I'm good. And I remember when I started my process, I used to watch this show called Say Yes to the Dress.
Yeah.
And before even getting engaged, Say Yes to the Dress, like minimum, if somebody was even managing themselves, they're spending 3K on a dress.
I can hear that.
If they're managing themselves on the show. So I went into the wedding planning process with like minimum I'm going to spend on my dress is 3K, and I went into it, and then by the time things started adding up, I started reviewing this dress. I was thinking, is it really that deep? Something I'm only going to wear for a couple of hours, not even a whole day. A couple of hours. Is it really worth spending the amount? So the dress I initially found was about 2K. And I thought I'll bargain because on average most people spend 3K. But when things really, really started adding up, I had to abandon that dress. And me finding the cheapest dress I could find was still £900. And £900 is still a madness. Like,
I think £900 for a wedding dress, I don't think that's a madness.
For a wedding dress, but on a note, like, is the average person just got £900 just to splash on a dress?
No, it's your wedding dress, though.
Exactly.
I think that's a huge difference.
No. I want to stamp that out right here, right now.
The one day, bro.
Don't go and spoil
No. Because you see, the moment you start to say, oh, it's your one day.
No, but
you can now use that to justify anything.
Have common sense.
But that's how
there's certain things you have common sense with. Like, I'm not going to be like, it's my one day, so I'm going to spend 600 bags on a venue. I'm not going to do that. There's a point that there's a time and a place.
But we literally just started this conversation by saying that the first dresses you were looking at, that the ideal dress started at a minimum of 12K.
Yeah.
I can easily say, but it's just one day. Like, you're not going to get this day.
No, but it's not even that.
Again.
Money was a contributing factor, because if I had 12K disposable income, I definitely probably would have done it.
But the thing,
and I would have said, it's my one day.
But most people,
I didn't have that disposable.
But most people take out a loan to do their wedding, right?
True,
Most people have family and friends pour money in, such that I could almost argue it doesn't matter how much things cost, because either way we've got to borrow money from somewhere. So whether I'm borrowing 10k or 90k, the budget is the budget. So the reason why I don't believe this idea of you only get one wedding, so dream to your heart's content, is because you can use that to justify anything. Why would I get a venue for 5k if I can get for 20k?
If it literally is one day though, everything else that you can do with your money, you can probably do multiple times.
So then why bother having a wedding at all? What? The same way I can justify not having a wedding, I can justify having a wedding that I want Bruno Mars to come down from the ceiling and to perform.
But do you have Bruno Mars budget though?
Yeah, because I'm gonna...
Other weddings that you've been a part of, what has it been like being a groomsman? Let's say before you had any prior knowledge going into it, what did you think your experience would be like versus what your actual experience?
I think my initial thought of being a groomsman was, I think it was the same as the reality of it. Okay. You knew you were going to spend money. I think you knew you had certain responsibilities. I think as it went on in some stages, in different groomsmen's...
Like, experiences,
in different weddings of being a groomsman, I think there were certain things that I had to do differently. So the relationship that I had with the groom was different for each wedding. Yeah. So some of them I might be a bit closer to the others, so I might have to go and pick someone up from the airport. Or others I might just have to we need to go Costco and pick up drinks. Or there's so many different responsibilities to it. And I think there's a period of where you just know you need to be on call. And I think after the first one, it was just, all right, cool. I just knew that was going to be the consistent theme of it.
I think you definitely mentioned something about going into it knowing that you have to spend money. The money that you spend in reality versus what you thought you were going to spend, did they match?
When you factor stuff like stags, trad clothes, sewing, shoes, bow tie, nah, it doesn't. It goes above and beyond because there's so many additional factors that come into play. Like I mentioned, stuff like just picking someone up, having to, can you go and pick up my shoes because someone needs to or someone needs a new shirt. All these little things like that, they all play a part, but you don't really think of it as, I got to do more. It's like, yo, this is a role that I'm fulfilling. I've accepted this. So I have to fulfill, like, the needs that I need to.
Okay, I think that's good. I saw something recently where somebody was complaining that. So have you been in this position? And this is more probably applicable to white weddings than it is trans, because I think trans is usually like your nearest and dearest, and that can be a considerable amount of people, right? But I think I saw something where somebody was complaining that they'd already been a groomsman 3 times, and then they got to the 4th time, and then they were telling everyone to F off, sorry. And they were more shocked that it was even people were added. I guess this person was kind of well known, and people were asking them to be a part of their bridal party that they didn't really have a relationship with, and they were actually shocked. They were like, "You're asking me to be a part of your bridal party." So I guess the question that I'm just trying to ask is it what are your thoughts around saying no when being a, and have you ever said no as well to being a groomsman? Oh, Tolu, I can hand the floor over to you.
I've never said no, but I don't think I've been asked that many times to say no. I think in the Nigerian culture, if you're part of the groom's party, I guess you should see it more as a community.
But so what are you talking about? Traditional wedding?
Even trad or white wedding.
Okay, cool.
I think if you're part, and even in weddings that aren't necessarily part of the Nigerian community, I think if you say yes to being a groomsman or bridesmaid, I think you should see yourself as being part of the community, and it's the community that's doing the picking up and dropping off, picking up this, dropping this, as opposed to just you need me available on the day.
That's quite interesting because for us women, we don't even know who's picking what. To be honest, as far as I'm concerned, done the logistics. Someone's figuring it out. But I didn't realize, I guess as I can speak for myself, I didn't realize that responsibility was actually falling on you guys as the men to some degree. So yeah, sorry to interrupt, but it's quite interesting that you say that.
I think it's important because I think when you take that approach on, you realize it's more than just a day. However, I've come to realize, not even just being part of a wedding, just in general, especially with like African weddings and specifically Nigerian, when someone gets married, it costs everyone money. And sometimes I think it's difficult because it's like, I want to be part of the wedding. I want to be at the stag.
Yeah.
I want to be a bridesmaid.
Yeah.
But the way my account is, it doesn't facilitate that
You
lifestyle.
can't do it all. You can't do it all.
So yeah.
And when I've heard of some of the amount of money that women who they're not part of the bridal party, they're just coming to your wedding.
Yeah.
By the time they do their hair, their nails, their makeup, get their dress done, it's like, you might as well get married.
Yeah.
So then think about people that are going on stag do's, are doing everything like you've been, right?
But everyone's different though.
But
right?
do you think? So you think about all the guests, but do you? I guess actually it's a personal problem for the bride and groom, to be honest. But do you have any empathy? Some degree.
I think for me personally, a bit I do, because I can appreciate that everyone has dreams. Everyone wants to do certain things. But I also think learn to cut your coat according to your size and to cut your coat according to the size of those who want to be involved. And the reality is, I think some people, you want to have a wedding, you want to do all these cool things. Yeah. But the people who you're rocking with, they don't have it like that.
Yeah.
But you still want to do X and you still want to do Y. And I get you forget, but life will humble you then, because then when you're saying, okay, I'm ready to do this, and everyone's like, oh, have a good time, but I can't make it. You're like, why? It's my wedding. It's my day. But I'm not built the way you're built.
It's true. It's like when you have that rich friend in school that's like, oh yeah, like, why don't we all just go in the jacuzzi? We'll come to the jacuzzi in your house. It's like, wait, hold on.
Jacuzzi? So some people are like, I don't even have a garden. A jacuzzi? It's different for everyone.
I think even if someone's saying no, I think you need to have an element of respect for that no. Because if you're willing to ask someone to be a groomsman or a bridesmaid, that's someone that you hold close to you, right?
Yeah.
And if they're saying no, they're not saying no because they don't like you.
Exactly.
They're saying no because it's just it might not be the right time for them. Someone might have something going on that they might not even want to talk about. So, like Tolu said, I haven't been asked enough times to say no.
True.
But I've definitely said no to a few stag do's.
Oh, really?
So, what would you say to those people who they've been asked and you're confused? Like, why would you ask me? Because if it was the other way around, I
definitely wouldn't.
I wouldn't ask you. So how come? How do you get in?
They probably hold the friendship in higher regard than you do, or they may not have enough friends or people to,
or the ones they really want have said no.
In fact, the bride or the groom might even have more numbers than the partner.
It's true.
So it's like, yo, you need to get some
match
numbers.
up, yeah.
You need more friends.
Yeah.
You need more friends.
Get more friends.
Like putting adverts out in the newspaper.
Anyone who bridesmaid?
No, but with that being said, no, I think that's that's a really good topic. Sorry. Pressure. Okay, so because what I'm really trying to do is paint the picture that weddings are very, very more expensive probably for the Black community than any other community, especially if you are Nigerian. But I do want to add there's a bonus, and it's something that we don't speak about enough, which is that because of how much we care about weddings as a people are so giving. And you don't actually realize how much they like your family as well. If you come from a very good family that people love and respect, it's actually kind of easy to manage yourself. So you end up actually making back some of the costs maybe for the venue. Fortunately, we were able to put it to whatever we wanted to put it to at the time. But a lot of couples don't talk about that. People are actually able to make house deposit money from their weddings. So as much as it is quite scary going into it thinking, oh shit, I am going to put in X amount. What? Sugar. I'm going to put in X amount. If your family's likable, usually people are quite giving.
But you can't plan a wedding.
You can't depend on that.
Based on the money you think you're going to make.
Well, we didn't, because at the end of the day, we wouldn't have had the wedding for people to be spraying us in the venue. Everything was paid for. Yeah. People gave us what they gave us on the day. So we definitely didn't. And most couples, the venue's not going to let you in unless you finish paying your guests will be waiting in the car park if that isn't the case. But what I'm just trying to say is that culturally, especially with like Asian, from what I've seen, Asian communities, African communities, people are very giving. Yeah. So I do want to put that out there, but of course it's not something to depend on, because you might think, okay, well, let me just wait for people to give us the gifts.
So what do you do if you come from a background though where you don't have that much money, or you don't feel like the community around you is able to give you as much money as maybe others?
So you cut your coat according to your size, and it's really as simple as that. That's what I would say, but that's not marriage. That's not advice. But if I was in that position, I would do that. Maybe I would elope if that's the easiest thing to do. But in that case, I just know that my family wouldn't have had that, and my family, both our families, fortunately, were very ready to stand beside us. So it was easier. Plus the pandemic and working from home. So yeah. Anyway, with that being said, I want to go into by God's grace, you guys gonna go through the process. And of course, we've touched on like how much you think.
Why are you looking at me?
I knew you was gonna look at me when she said that.
And how
You don't want to get married?
I want to get married. You want to get married? No, but then don't do that.
We touched on how much like the venue cost and stuff, but I want to know like I don't really know how to shape this question, because what I want to talk about is like men's well-being during the process. Because okay, let's paint a scenario, yeah? You find the love of your life, or you're with the love of your life, and you know you're about to get married, and she has really you liked her, or you love her because she's well looked after. You know, she does everything like from appearance to like, you know, she's a grinder. She likes nice things, long story short. And you've been okay with that because, you know, you've managed yourself, you're a, you know, software engineer, you know, I'm sure you can afford the occasional Hakkasan every now and then, or Nobu, you know, you can do all of those things, right?
I heard your money was long, bro. I heard your money is long.
We know about the software, he's not junior.
Amen.
He's not junior, he's
heard
a
your bonus is
software engineer.
6 figures.
Okay.
I just want to thank God for the
money.
where He's placed me and the abilities to
But
do the
with
things that I
being
do.
said, now you
Amen.
get into the wedding scene, which is completely different to
Yeah.
your very much day-to-day reality, where everything is inflated by times 10.
Yeah.
And people take the piss because they know
Yeah.
either you have the wedding, either you're going to use me as a makeup artist or not.
Yeah. Or you're not.
You're either going to use the venue or you're going to get married in the car park.
Yeah.
It's up to you. So you're kind of forced, your pocket is forced to do those kind of things. So let's say you get into the process now, you know, you've paid for the venue, you've paid for the decor, which decor as well, very, very expensive stuff. You've done all of that now. Or have you seen, what I want to say is maybe people overextending themselves. Because I think a lot of people, and I think this narrative comes from like an older generation where it's like, oh, don't have the big thing, or don't spend X amount because, you know, they've seen people that they've done this, but then they've gone back to poverty.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say that, but I don't know if I've really actually seen that personally. As first question, have you seen that? Have you seen it? Because I think it's a narrative, but have you actually seen it where people are eating baked beans and...
I personally do know people who...
Oh, is it?
The wedding has been such a financial strain that life is difficult after.
But we're not going to talk about after, but but that... In what sense?
Because I think anyone can get money for a particular occasion. So I want to get married. Even if it's like the wedding's going to cost 100K. The way life works, I believe, if you want something bad enough, you're able to make it happen. So you will get the 100K.
Yeah.
The question then becomes, though, is after that day, when it now comes to the repayments, and I borrowed X from X and I borrowed Y from Y, when you now have to start sorting all these things out, I think that's where the problem now comes. And I think those things then have an effect on the marriage and relationship thereafter.
But have you actually seen that though?
Yeah, I know people who, you can tell by the way they're not smiling that things are tight.
But it might be something else though, because I would imagine if someone is able to loan 100K, they must have very good credit, which means they must be very good with money. No, if someone is able to do that,
not at all.
No, not really.
Nah, man, you can get some. What's that called?
Loan
Payday
loans.
You can get money anywhere.
Oh, that APR is through the roof.
But your wedding was.
But I still think though that you have to have some sort of good credit in it for that to happen though. For a good chunk of. Okay, fair enough. All right, cool. So anyway, what would you do? Let's just speak hypothetically. I don't know what the reality is, and I guess it would be 6, maybe Leslie to. I don't know. Did you actually? Let me not do that. But it's just interesting because I have no clue. So sorry, but you're feeling the financial. What do you actually do? You get halfway and you're like, shit, I've run out of money.
You gotta have a conversation with your partner. Like I would have a conversation with my partner, and we would have to cut certain things. Like there's no two ways about it. Like okay, maybe I can say, you know, I'm gonna work hard, I'm gonna get a second job, third job, but we have to face the reality of things, right? And that is, let's work within our means. If we know that this is what we can do, let's do what we can do. Let's not overextend ourselves to now put ourselves in a problem for later, even though we want to talk about the future, but we don't want to do that. So yeah, we'll have to have that conversation.
I find it hard how I find myself in that position, because we have a budget. So in order for us to go over significantly, you've done it intentionally. Oh, you've done it, and you know. Do you get?
Yeah.
There's no way you can tell me I don't know how I got here because we've got the spreadsheet.
I think it's so beautiful that you say that, because I honestly feel like the wedding scene will shock you. It will.
I've heard the budgets just go left.
What?
Like,
No,
but you know.
It's not about sticking to the budget, because vendors, they literally pick prices depending on what mood they're in that day. It's not as simple as like you go, you see the price list and say, okay, it's going to cost me £300, and okay, you can go and say, okay, I want this person, and on your page it says, then they're like, no, today's price is a different price from yesterday's price. Then what do you do? Because that's actually how people get in that position a lot of the time.
I don't know. Because the way budgets and wedding costs work, generally speaking, people are already at the upper end.
Huh?
People are already at the upper end, right? So it's like, if we're saying the budget is X, it's like you're already kind of struggling and thinking about how you can make extra money to make that X. So now you've gone over and above that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, okay. Know what you know from what you've seen from others. Obviously, you both stated that you haven't had much exposure, but just, you know, what you've seen externally, internally, what do you think what kind of pressures do you think you'll face?
Tolu?
Do you know, it's funny I should be here, because I remember speaking to my cousin about this within the last 2 weeks. So my cousin got married last year in Portugal.
Yeah.
So he had a white wedding. And when he was talking about some of the costs they paid for certain things, I could have had a stroke, because I was dumbfounded that this man would be willing to spend this kind of money.
No one is willing. I want to add, because I don't think you're getting it. Our hands are forced. You're not looking at anything. If you find anything for £500, you even have to look at it like it's a bit too good to be true.
The thing is, I disagree with that. Okay. Because I know people who, and I guess, you know, COVID lockdown kind of played a part, but I know people who got married. There were only X number of people there. And I know even after COVID and things open up, I know people who got married and you just saw them with a ring on their finger. What do you mean you got married? Oh yeah, just like a little thing, me, my missus and the siblings. So people do make decisions based on their financial capabilities. I think sometimes we have this idea that, I have to do. You don't have to do anything in life. But regardless, in terms of pressure and dating, because I think we're at the age where, generally speaking, people tend to get married around this age. I think I just feel like I need to make more money and I need to be willing to spend the money on that, because although I may have the money, I'm not trying to spend 30k on a wedding. So to me, it just means not only do I need to have the 30k, but I also need to be willing to spend it, because even now I can give you 100k right now if you want, but I don't want to. So I think for me, it's the willingness to be able to spend the money on things like that.
Yeah, no, I love that.
I hear you. I can be honest, and I'll just say, like, I know that I got family that's putting in for my wedding.
You know, like
so,
that.
like, I'm from you're my back.
So my situation is different.
Whatever you mean, my situation is different.
We cut our quote. That's not cutting your quote.
Yeah, it's not like I'm cutting my coat. So I know, realistically, I'll have that conversation with family, like, how much you lot willing to put down. And it's always a thing that I've got an older brother, so there's only 2 of us gonna get married, right? So it's the money's whoever comes first, and hopefully I get the bag. So and if I cash out, I'm getting you. Hey, listen, less than Aisha times 2. No, but honestly, like, I know that there's going to be some sort of input from family. So I know that the burden isn't going to have to fully rely on myself. So I'm not going to stand here and be like, oh, it's all going to fall on me. I need to make sure I have X amount. And I'm not going to do that. Like, yes, there may be certain things that I might need to work a bit harder for. But I won't say that I'm going to struggle to provide the wedding that I would want.
I think that's the difference between me and you. I think I don't have that same confidence, because I think I'm very self-reliant. So I'm an only child, right? So based on what you've just said, I should be in a position to say it's even better for me because it's just me and no one else, and your parents expect you to be married. But I wouldn't want to be in a position where I feel like my parents have to give me money.
Yeah.
I want to be able to say I can do it. And if you want to, cool. But I almost feel like people get married and they're expecting X to be able to, give me a little here. And I don't want to have to do that. So
let me do a quick TikTok disclaimer because so you don't cut it up here.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm saying that they're gonna force them to, like as in it's I know like they've had the conversation yo, I'm gonna give you money when you get married, like the funds are there, innit?
But I guess it's different as well for everyone because my parents have said the same thing.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, right, if you have this money, use this for something your life.
Yeah.
Like, I have my own life. I have the ability to be able to serve myself.
I think I'm not used. Well, the beauty is, at the end of the day, it is as someone that has gone through the process and I've been able to not necessarily compare, but I've been able to see from a different lens what other people have gone through as well during their process. One thing that I will say is that if you do, most people usually come from decent, loving families. If you do come from that kind of environment, most of the time, people will, especially your parents, they will give.
I hear you.
There's no way.
I get it. It's just the level of giving that's different for everyone.
In all, you'll be so shocked.
No, I get you, but
in all demographics, I've seen it with white people, Chinese people. I was so surprised by the African community. I did not know that we had it in us all. I didn't realize how seriously we took this thing
take weddings
until I was in it, and I was like, oh wow, like it actually is a very, very, very big deal.
So man, you think about that, they should give us the money for houses. And
you would think. But
maybe that's a good example, right? Because when I bought my house, right, my parents didn't give me a penny.
Yeah.
They would love to, but they're not in a position to.
Yeah.
So when I take that and I take it to other aspects of my life, that's why I have the mentality.
But the thing is, I think there's a shared. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up quickly. But there was there's invested interest because they're bringing their people, so they have a stake in the pie. Long story short.
This is my boy.
They have a stake in the pie, long story short. So for them, there's invested interest. And they're not going to bring some people to a thing that, they want to be embarrassed by or whatever. Depending on your parents. Not everybody's parents value that kind of thing. My family did value that kind of thing. So anyway, long story short, I say that. They give, you'll love it. It's great. It's not all that scary. I think there's a lot of fear around it and I'm trying to break that narrative. And So
what would you do if
we'll talk about this offline, but
Okay, but can I ask one question? Yeah. So what would you advise a lady who's with a guy? They're sitting down trying to plan the wedding.
Yeah.
And they just feel like they don't have the money they want for the wedding she's always dreamed of.
Okay, well, I didn't have the wedding that I dreamed of, but I had the best wedding I could possibly have within we cut our coat, but it was amazing. It was amazing. Like, I mean, if we were millionaires, we would do more. Just saying. But
I think your wedding was amazing.
I thought it was amazing as well. I'm just saying that, like, the dress that I wanted to have and all of that, I didn't have, and that's okay. But what I would say to women is that be fair on the men as well. They're human beings. You can't kill them.
You say that,
and if
but
there's something that you want, then go and work for it.
But you say that, but if I was a woman and I say I came to your trad, and, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I want this plus more.
And then to hear you say that, right, it wasn't the wedding that I wanted. It's
but my brain, my brain, if you were to go my brain, like it's mad, like the vision. So that was the best that I could do with the budget that I had. Anyway, we're wrapping this up. If there's a quote that you guys, we always want to end this very light and fun. Just give us a quote for the day, guys. Say your ats, and then we're gonna peace out. Yeah.
I don't know. So Tolu Shomoye is my Instagram.
Chat. How do you spell that?
TOLUSHOMOYE.
Cool.
Quote: just do the best with what you've got. I just made that up right now. Hashtag.
My at is OlaJM_, and my quote is: if you live for today, then tomorrow's just gonna be a better version of today.
That's cool. And on top of that as well, that's it for another episode of the Brides Room UK. Guys, thank you so much for joining me.
No, we appreciate you. We appreciate you.
And I hope, guys, that you are watching this, Mandem. I hope this resonates with you. And feel free to follow us. Keep tuned for the next episode. And bye. See ya.
See you here when I'm next married.
All right.